This podcast is sponsored by funkytshirts.co.uk. And it stars David Corenswet. Bit of a terrible name, that, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a bit...
He should have changed his name to something more... David Steel, David Iron, I don't know.
David Sweatpants.
David Sweatpants over the top of his tight pants. That's a good idea. Hello there, and thank you for joining us. You are tuned to More Movies Podcast. This is episode number 70.
I mean, Sebastian beat them here by almost 70 years.
So, welcome to the show. My name is Greg Fisher. Joining me, as always, is my good friend and colleague, Mr. David Roberts. How are you doing this week, Dave?
I'm doing very well, sir, very well. Been checking out some more movies. We've been to the pictures. Got some exciting new film that's come out, and I'm excited to get tucked into it.
Absolutely. Well, we haven't been on the air doing a podcast since April, so we are long overdue. An update for our many millions of fans and listeners. They're all chomping at the bit to listen to what we're doing. So this week we are going to cover the new Superman film. We're also going to take a trip back a couple of months when we went to see Sinners, because that's a film I think is worthy of covering. We're also going to talk about comedy sequel Happy Gilmore 2, and of course we're going to talk about 28 years later, so stay tuned, and here we go. Okay, Dave, the first movie we're going to talk about this week is Superman 2025. Superman, the Man of Steel, the Flying Burrito Brothers. I don't know. This is obviously a James Gunn film. It's a new iteration of Steverman. Who's Steverman?
Steverman?
It's a new iteration of Superman. And it stars David Corenswet. Bit of a terrible name, that, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a bit...
He should have changed his name to something more... David Steel, David Iron, I don't know.
David Sweatpants.
David Sweatpants over the top of his tight pants. That's a good idea. And you've got Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. You know he's evil because he's bald. That's the go-to sign.
Yes, it is.
And we also, I really enjoyed seeing Wendell Pierce from The Wire. Played Bunk as Perry White. He's only in it a little bit, but he was in there. That was great. There was others as well, probably playing robots, the voices of robots. They probably got Alan Tudyk in there, was it? You know, who's the robot guy, the CGI robot guy? Let's go to Alan Tudyk.
Well, the best appearance, of course, is Nathan Fillion.
We'll get to that. We will get to that. Green Lantern is a very integral part of this conversation. I'm sure we will get to that. So, Superman, 1978, Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder. It's never going to be topped. Never. They've done many, many iterations since. You know, we've had the TV Superman with Dean Cain and Lois and Clark and all that, and then we had Smallville, we had Superman and Lois Lane, and loads of versions of him by now. Obviously, most recently, we had the Zack Snyder version with Henry Cavill, our own Henry Cavill as Superman. That didn't seem to last too long. He's not really Superman anymore. He's going to be the Highlander next, apparently. Can you believe that?
That'll be good.
Well, will it? Okay, we'll see about that. Hold this one. So now we've got a new Superman, and it's James Gunn, and he's done lots of superhero sort of stuff. So the main message I got from this one was kindness is a superpower. That was the main message behind the film. That's what they're selling here. In a world full of evil and darkness, which we seem to live in now in 2025, according to everyone, it's nice to have a message of kindness as a superpower. So this was what really, you know, all of the old bells and whistles and stuff aside, this was the main sort of takeaway from the film for me, that they did try and, for instance, there's made up places, like in Metropolis is not a city. Anyway, everyone used to say it was like meant to be like New York, but they called it Metropolis. So they've got countries that don't exist, but we've got kind of the same, you know, they're supposed to represent certain things. So, you know, we've got Putin invading Ukraine in real life. Well, in the Superman film, it's some dodgy guy who's in charge of some Eastern European country and he's going to invade somewhere else. To me, it kind of was like Palestine.
Yeah, it was definitely like it was probably the best aspect of the story, where it was like very much a standing kind of Middle Eastern country that is downtrodden, an imperialistic kind of Eastern European dictatorship country kind of thing. And, you know, there was a lot of kind of subtle politics going on with that, which was probably the best aspect of it. Kind of, it was very like saying something, but then there's other stuff.
Well, other stuff. We did have some good comedy in there. Yes, we had some moments that were, unwatchable. I remember you saying to me when we come out, there's a certain scene where they're in that in-between dimension place, and they end up in some sort of lava river and fighting, and it just got so frenetic you couldn't even tell what was going on. Totally agreed with you there. I thought that particular scene was a little bit overcooked. But there was other elements to it, like when he's back in the real world at the start and he's saving children and he's saving squirrels. I remember that bit. He saves a squirrel. I thought, in terms of effects and stuff, it looked great. This is not anywhere ever going to measure up to the 78 version, is it? To be honest, not even sure it measures up to the Henry Cavill Man of Steel movie. As derivative as that was, at least this one was original, but...
only original to a point, I think. And I think that was like... So one of the things when I came out and I said, it's like, this is the same story that I have sat down and watched 5 or 6 times now, not only as Superman, because it's the same, okay, we're going to retell this tale, Lex Luthor, but also of like other superhero movies, especially in recent years. I was like, oh, this is like Spider-Man, this is like this, and it's like it gets a bit like, yeah, again, okay, where's something original, and
where's Batman?
Where's Batman? So it gets tiring a bit. I thought I didn't buy David Corran Sweet as Superman, to be honest.
Corran Sweet, that was it, or going sweet with it.
Sweet sweatpants. The Corran Sweet, whatever his name is, I just didn't buy him that much. I was like, yeah, okay. You kind of look like him, but in terms of performance, I was just like, this is a bit dull. James Gunn, interesting guy as director. Now, I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy, although the last one...
That was probably your favourite of the whole lot, wasn't it?
Although the third one I got problems with. But, you see, my problem is you come to something like this and you go, well, his style, the kind of the humour and the needle drops and the frenetic cutting and, all that kind of stuff... It worked in Guardians of the Galaxy where I was like, it's funky, kind of sci-fi, neo-noir kind of, it's got all that going on. And so it worked in that atmosphere. I think when it comes to something like Superman like this, I don't think that style meets with the story you're trying to tell, And I think that was a problem because... Look, the worst thing about this film is bloody Superdog.
Well, let's call him Crypto. Let's call him Crypto. He is a Superdog, but
he's a Superdog, Crypto, and
played by Fido Ballsweat.
Fido Ballsweat. I mean, the first, you see him on screen for the first time. It's funny for 2 minutes where you're like, yeah, okay. By the 10th time he's on the screen, you're just like, what the. This is just silly. This is like an early 2000s CGI comedy movie, not,
Yeah.
And it starts being this daft. I
thought that when I first seen the trailer for it, the first teaser they did is that start of the film where he crunches into the ice, he's all battered and bruised, and he whistles for the dog, and the dog drags him back to the Fortress of Solitude. And when I first see that, I thought, oh my God, that's where they've gone with this, a CGI dog with a cape on. What is this going to be? It is silly. It got a bit much. I agree. But I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I mean...
I hate the robots more, to be honest. The whole, welcome back, master. I was like, oh, what is this? But okay, whatever.
Thank you.
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not a terrible movie, right? You can sit down and go, okay,
no, it's
fine.
not. It's not.
And the kids will enjoy it, I'm sure. And you kind of go, yeah, okay. But, it could have been so much more. And this is typical of DC's stuff in general, where you just go, this is poorly written, derivative, repetitive.
We're back to that one. Okay, I got you. All right, then. Let's try and stay positive and focus on the stuff we did enjoy. We mentioned Nathan Fillion before. He plays a version of the Green Lantern in it, and he's joined by Hawk Girl and...
Mr. Terrific. Nathan Fillion, who I'm a big fan of, was just hilarious. And
yeah, because he's a real sort of a bit of a tosser, wasn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like that kind of I'm the leader of the gang, I'm always right, but he's really sort of a feckless moron that everyone behind his back is going,
Yeah. Nicholas Hoult, big fan. He's done some great films in recent years that we've covered.
He's good.
Juror Number 2 and was it The Menu, was it called?
He was in The Menu. He's very good in that.
So he's done some good stuff recently, and I was a fan of him for years. Obviously, he's Lex Luthor here, and I thought he was excellent. Really great performance all the way through until his very final scene, where I thought he almost destroyed his entire character.
Just becoming a little crybaby.
Right, yeah, and it was like, what the hell? Like, and to me, it felt really out of kilt with what you built for the last 2 hours.
I agree that at the end he kind of became a bit of a wet blanket. It was a bit of a... I'd rather have seen him say, "I'll get you, Superman, I'll get you next time." Exactly. You know, that kind of trope. But, you know, like you said, for the main part, it was great because he was kind of like a tech bro / sort of Andrew Tate style, you know, horrible shitbag son of a bitch character who's in charge of all these little minions controlling because they'd made a sort of meta Superman, spoiler alert, you know, to fight Superman and all that. And, you know, this film was like 50% of it was fantastic ideas, really good, taking Superman in the right direction, good message. And then, maybe 50% of just what the is going on here. Like.
And that's the problem. It's the inconsistency and the kind of... And then, like, as a whole, if you take the story from beginning to end, is like, I've seen this before, right? It's like, okay, we've got the same Lex Luthor thing going on there. We've seen that 10 times as Superman itself. You know, you've got... the spoiler alert, Metamorphosis is the clone of Superman fighting him, and that's Spider-Man 3, right? You know, so all these things are like, I've seen this, seen this, and it gets a bit like, is this all you've got? You know what I mean? So
I suppose if we sort of step outside the box a minute, we could say there's a load of kids that didn't grow up with Christopher Reeve or any of the others, and this is their Superman, so fair enough. But I applaud them for the message they tried to put behind it. This is a superpower, I believe in all that. I think it was a good sort of way to go, but didn't quite hit the bullseye, did it?
No, and I think that's the ultimate thing. It's like, was it terrible? No, of course. I've seen a lot worse. The Justice League will be one of them, but for what they could have delivered here, is like, we got this whole thing about it's a fresh slate and we're kind of rebooting DC and I'm in charge and we're going to try and do something here, and they delivered this, and I was like, okay, here we go again. You know, it's like
less meta and more meh. Okay, let's do the thumb scale.
Yeah,
I'm going to go about there. So it's not a thumbs down, but
I'm literally in the middle.
So yeah, there you go. That's Superman, James Gunn. That's it. We're done here. Okay, next film we're going to talk about is dun 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 Sinners. This was Ryan Coogler with Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld was in it. Jack O'Connell's in there, who I really liked from the SAS TV series. Didn't really know him before that, but apparently he's been in loads of stuff, Skins and all that. Also had Delroy Lindo in there, who is always excellent. So basically this is about two twin brothers, both played by Michael B. Jordan, so it's a bit like Legend when Tom Hardy played both the Cray twins, who did both parts, very good at it. He was as well. And they're kind of like, a couple of wheeler dealers, really, and they're putting a club together, or what they call a juke joint in those days, because it's set back in the early 20th century, the days of the Delta Blues and the juke joints. We've seen them in other films. So the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the film is about them setting up the club, and the club's going to open. And then, basically, what happens is it turns into a vampire movie. And this is very, very similar to From Dusk Till Dawn with George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino. But although that's the similarity in terms of the story, I still thought this was really original, really bloody well done, like stylistically, great performances put together, and kept you on the edge of your seat, wondering what was going to happen. I really enjoyed this film. In fact, I probably could have watched it without the vampire shit, just them setting up a juke joint and then the local clan being against them or something like that. I was really enjoying it so much up to that point. I could have kept watching it like that because I kind of like all that old blues stuff, you know, the Robert Johnson days, the Delta blues, Mississippi, all that. I've been into that. It's my sort of thing. It's like, I like this kind of culture. This is what I've grown up with. I could happily watch a movie about that rather than it going to a place of, you know, again, fantasy with the... but I didn't mind that. I like a good vampire movie. We both like a good vampire movie. And this was one. This was definitely one. And I'd say, even despite the similarities to From Dusk Till Dawn, this holds up as a companion piece. You could have a great double feature with the two of them. What say you, sir?
I agree. You can have it would make a great double feature, actually, to watch them both. I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a very good film. Great performances from everyone. Everyone was great in it, and it did tell great stories and set a really nice world up. Because you really didn't get into the vampire stuff until a good hour or so into the film. Like there was a really a lot of world. Yeah, I think it was. There's a lot of world building going on early on, isn't there? You know, like when they go to the town and they go to the Chinese grocery store and all that, and all these different things going on, and they're stealing the booze and they're going recruiting musicians. There's a lot of stuff going on before we get to, hey, we're setting up the club. I think when you do get to that bit, though, it is very derivative of Dusk Till Dawn, in my opinion. Not that that's a bad thing, though. No. The star of the show is Jack O'Connell, though, I think, that as the kind of sinister head vampire, would you call him?
Yeah, he's the ringleader. He's definitely the one.
And kind of he has his first scene where he goes and attacks this house, this couple that he kind of turns. And then, like, he's outside, like, singing these songs and being all very charming and stuff. But, like, the way he draws them out and picks them off one by one kind of thing before all hell breaks loose, it's really cool. And, you know, the music's great in it. The singing and dancing in the club, you know, and there's a lot of great character development in there, relationships, and each one of them you kind of felt like, oh, I know these guys, you know, by the time you get into kill them. So it was good. I think the only thing I didn't quite like in the film, because I couldn't quite understand it, there's a sequence where they're playing a big song in the club that they've opened up, and they do this weird, the juke joint, and they do this kind of almost time travel in the imagination thing that goes through, and it goes through like, I guess black musicians through the ages and comes into more modern day and stuff, all these kind of sequences, almost dream sequences kind of thing that they play through. Yeah, and I just didn't understand it at all, because for the rest of the film, the thing is all of its time, and it's all about the blues and all this, and that just really, I was like,
Yeah, I mean, that would be a minor criticism, though, because, you know...
Oh, yeah, it's minor.
It's just a couple of minutes in the film, and it does sort of get a bit spacey. It's a bit like, whoa, are we on moonshine here? Are we on something stronger? Yeah. I'm not sure. But I think the general allegory of the film overall was about black suppression and culture being dominated by white Anglo-Saxon culture, which is, again, you know, a massive big theme still in the world today, especially in America. So, you know, coming from that kind of point of view, it's great to see a black film by a black director with black stars as, you know, the main cast, and be so successful and be so popular with a general audience, with wide audience. For that alone, just worth loving, worth seeing. If you're into vampire movies, it's a total ace. If you're into old blues music like an old guy like me, then that's good too. A lot to love here.
We believe in equality and music. We just came here to play. Spend some money, have a good time. Here, I'll show you. I pick poor, I be clean.
But there we go. Fantastic film, Sinners. I'm definitely giving it a thumbs up, maybe 2 thumbs up, really, because it was a bloody good film. I really enjoyed it. And like you said, very excited to see what Ryan Coogler comes up with next. And yeah, make sure you see it if you haven't already. Tell us your thoughts if you have. Okay, so next film on our list is a sequel. It's Happy Gilmore 2 with Adam Sandler, a sequel to the 1996, I think, original comedy Happy Gilmore about a failed hockey player that becomes a professional golfer and blah, blah, blah. Obviously a bit of a classic back then. In 1996, I was a teenager still. Yeah, I was a teenager still. And, you know, that kind of film was great back then. We used to, you know, have a good old laugh watching Adam Sandler do his thing, get mad on the golf course, be very silly, have lots of cameos, whether that be, you know, random movie stars or sports professionals, etc. You obviously had Carl Weathers in that as his mentor, and it was a bit of a comedy classic of the time. All these years later, he has teamed up with Netflix, and he has done a sequel. Obviously, it's the comeback story, you know. He's gone on in his life and he's got kids now and whatnot, but for one reason or another, he's become a bit of a washed-up alcoholic, and it's time to get back into the golf thing. And I don't know, this one went so far into the metaverse. I didn't think I was ever going to come back out. Lots of all the same shit is in the first one. So now I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm a man in my 40s. I didn't really find any of this stuff funny anymore. I thought it was, you know, all of the sporting legends that would turn up in this playing themselves. I didn't even know who they were. I had to look it up. I don't know who these people are. But it's obvious that they are real sports stars because they can't act. They're not actors.
No.
John Daly is the only one I knew, and he probably did the best job of acting in it. And I can't stand him because he's a massive Trump fan, so, you know, can't really get off the ground with this one. Awful, derivative, painful, and everything that is bad about the world that we live in now, all wrapped up into one glitter-sprinkled little turd. Over to you.
So, I mean, this is obviously like every other old film they're doing these days, where it's a sequel 20 years later. So, and we've seen some really bad ones.
I'll say this one wasn't the worst of all of those.
But that's the thing, right? So,
and it was bad.
I thought this was a lot better than some of the attempts that have been done recently over these kind of things. Most of the criticism I've seen in most of the reviews is, it's not very original, it's very derivative. And I kind of sat there thinking, what did you expect? Like, I expected that going in. I thought it's just going to be a load of callbacks to the original.
Maybe they expected that as well, and it was just affirming.
Affirming, maybe. But I was just like, I kind of expected that, so that didn't bother me at all. I found it kind of funny in moments. You know, it was for inoffensive, sitting there on a Friday night, something to just end of the week. Comedy. I was laughing at moments of it. I found some of it funny. I thought it was one of Adam Sandler's better recent efforts at stuff.
That's not saying much.
Which isn't saying much, but, you know, I was like, yeah, it is all right in here.
Fuck that shit. The best thing he's done recently was Uncut Gems with the Safdie brothers. Now he's gone back to doing this crap again. He's got one of the poor Safdie brothers in with him, debasing himself, making himself look ridiculous.
But Uncut Gems, I don't even count as recent. It's 10 years ago since that film came out. Like, that's no longer recent to me.
Hold the fucking wire here. Is it really 10 years ago?
Yeah. Was it 2016? I think it was.
No way! That's crazy. It's still recent Sandler for me, mate. Oh no, it was 2019. It's only 6 years. You bastard.
Still 6 years, a long time.
2019 still it's pre-pandemic, so we've got those pandemic years. We can shave them off, so it's only actually about 3 years or so ago. Yes, it's recent, Sandler. Don't give me this 10 years bullshit.
It feels a long time ago anyway.
Not that long.
So
not as long as Happy Gilmore 1.
That's a very long time ago, yes. So, I mean, it was, in some ways I was like, oh, it's a bit funny to go back to these characters from the original film, which was funny for its time, bit of a throwback. I like some of the callbacks in there. My favourite part is MJF, the wrestler, is in there as one of his sons, which I found hilarious. And actually, I thought that this whole new style of golf thing they came up with, this new league that they'd set up with all the craziness, I was like, I'd love to watch something like this because I think golf's boring as fuck, but if there was some crazy golf tournament like this, I'd be well into watching it.
This is the problem. This is one of the things that the film says outside of the film itself, subtextually, is the world we live in is trying to change everything we've known and loved for years and make it new and funky and exciting, and we need to pull it back to something traditional. But we can't do that without getting involved in this new and funky thing first. And it was just like, is that it? Is that all you've got to say about this? I love the fact that Stephen McDonald was back in it as Shooter McGavin, because he was probably one of the best things about the original. And he did make me laugh a few times in this.
He was very funny.
He was good. At first I was laughing at, everything he's using the microphone.
All the alcohol.
And it was an alcohol container, but they egged it so much just within that first where he does the round of golf with Margaret Qualley and those lot. They did it so many times in that bit that I was laughing, and 30 seconds later I was like, oh God, not again. So it's like, yeah, this is funny, but you're over-egging it. It's like everything, the cucumber in the supermarket, like, that's funny. But then by the time he's doing it with his mobile phone on the golf course, it's just like, oh, for God's sake.
I loved the old boy who was living in his driveway in the garage and stuff as well.
That's John Daly. He was, of all the non-actors, he was probably the best of them, because some of them were just so wooden. It was like, it was a struggle to get through. Yeah, both of Sandler's daughters in this as well. One playing his daughter, one playing somebody who was in Alcoholics Anonymous with him. They brought Ben Stiller back with that creepy character that he played in the first one, where he was like in the home. Oh, awful. He's another one as well that, you've done nothing good for over 10 years at least. And I don't know. This is just a pile of steaming dung shit for me, and I would never want to see it again, and I hope they don't do any more sequels to it. I don't hate Adam Sandler. I think, he has done some good stuff over the years, but this was just bullshit. Not designed for me, even though I'm one of the original people that watched the first one and loved it when I was a youngster. It's just, it's designed for more youngsters. It's designed for people that don't have any fucking brain cells, if you ask me. It's that kind of level of humour and comedy. And, when he's having that fight with Shooter McGavin in the graveyard, and it's all the graves of all the people that have died and therefore couldn't return for the sequel. And it was just like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? This is just scraping the bottom of the golf cart buggy.
Here's to number 3.
Fuck that, I won't be watching it. But, yeah. Anything else to add or try and save this film? I mean, Haley Joel Osment was in it. I see dead people. Well, I see a dead career if you're having to do films like this, buddy.
Well, he's been irrelevant for donkeys. But, no, I mean, it was... I didn't find it as offensive as many of the other comedy throwbacks they've done in recent years. I laughed at moments.
It was better than the Eddie Murphy Coming to America one, which I always say how terrible it was. I've said it a million times, but I'll say it was better than that.
Yeah,
but that's not saying anything. That's like saying, bird shit's better than fucking cat shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, yes, I won't go back and watch it, but it made me laugh, and that was all it was ever to me. That it tended to make me laugh at moments. It did make me laugh at moments. Yes, there was a load of shit in there as well, but I was like, okay, fine, and that's about where it sits. I mean, it's a difficult one because I think most modern comedy films are shite. So,
well, what was that one we watched last year? Ricky Stenicki, that was funny. And that was a throwback to the 90s, and it was the Farrelly brothers that did it, or one of them at least. And we both enjoyed that, and it made us laugh. So it is possible to pull these things back and make something, fairly decent out of them, but this was not it. I mean, it was shot nicely. The effects were good. They threw a lot of money at it. I mean, it wasn't that bad that it was like super cheap, but that's not going to make up for, whatever this is. No, not for me. Not for me. Definitely won't return. So doing the fun test, I'm going to go, oof.
I think I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
Like that.
Fair enough. There we go. Let us know your thoughts. Am I totally being a pompous film snob about this and it was actually half decent? Are you a fan of the original and you hated it as much as I did? Let us know, man. Come on. Have a voice. Okay, my friend, we're on to the last film that we're going to talk about in this podcast, and it is another sequel. This time, a zombie British film, written by Alex Garland, directed by Danny Boyle. It is 28 years later, so we had 28 Days Later, the original Cillian Murphy back in the day, and then a few years later they made 28 Weeks Later, Robert Carlyle, and, did the sequel to that. I wasn't too impressed with that at the time, and now they've done a third installment all these years later, 28 years later, to be precise.
And the question is, where's 28 months later? I mean, we're missing...
God damn, I didn't even think of that. You're absolutely right. They need to go back. They should. They really missed a trick there. And we'll come back to as to why later on. So anyway, it is 28 years later after the original outbreak. This time the story focuses on a small community living on an island just off Newcastle somewhere. So there's northeast. They're all talking a bit like that.
I was so confused at the location.
I was thinking at first this is supposed to be Lindisfarne Island, but that's a little bit too far north of there, because by the time they're walking around and they can see the Angel of the North, I thought, you haven't walked that far. But anyway,
well, no, that's what confused me, because when they first mentioned early on, they're like, "Oh, that's a French patrol on the boat." So I was like, "Oh, this is down south somewhere."
He said it's probably French, but I reckon it's them Swedes, because the Swedes turn up. Anyway, let's not get into arguing about that right now. So we're up in the northeast. They live on an island. The whole of Britain has been quarantined by the rest of Europe, because this is where the outbreak started. We are basically a quarantined island. If anyone steps foot on it, that's it. You're forsaken. So what we've got here is they're an island off an island, and this small community. It's Aaron Taylor-Johnson and his son Spike at first, who go out on a hunting mission. So it's like a coming-of-age thing, and they're all saying, oh, he's a bit young, but they go across the causeway onto the mainland. They're going to hunt some of the zombies, or whatever they call them in this. I don't know. They don't even have names for them, but, the infected. And he's taking his young son with him, and it's going to make a man of him, and they're going to have a bonding experience, and... obviously, it turns out like, holy shit, they bit off more than they can chew. The boy maybe is a bit young, and they only just make it back to the island with their lives because they get chased by what is known as an alpha, an alpha infected person. So then we get back to the village. The kid's mother is played by Jodie Comer, one of my favourite actors of the day. Good old Scouser Jodie Comer. And she's not very well. There's something wrong there. She's like, doesn't remember things well. She's bedridden. And they get back and they have this huge party to celebrate the boy's sort of, success at hunting and coming of age. And we see that Aaron Taylor-Johnson is having a little bit on the side there. And you think, well, this isn't good. But the kid witnesses it. So the kid decides in the end to fuck everybody off on the island and take his mother to the mainland, because he's heard tell that there's this doctor living on his own out in the hills, and he thinks he can get his mother cured by the doctor. So they go off on an odyssey then to find the doctor, even though they never told the father or anyone else. They've just basically legged it. And then, another adventure ensues where he's trying to find this doctor played by Ralph Fiennes. They eventually find him, not before getting into trouble with this, that, and the other. And he's a little bit cuckoo. Although he's not as cuckoo as I thought he was going to be. He's actually still a decent human being. It's just that he's gone a little bit. His whole, he's made this whole kind of, what would you call it? A tribute to all the dead, by using their bones and their skulls and making all of these, huge sculptures, I suppose, or whatever you would call them, as a kind of graveyard. And anyway, they have some time with him. I shouldn't really say too much about what happens there. Maybe we should. I don't know. This conversation might develop. And then at the end, the boy decides to go off on his own and stay on the mainland, forsaking the island and take care of himself. And then we see Jack O'Connell again. I was like, what the hell is he doing in this? Film's about to finish in 2 minutes, and Jack O'Connell turns up now with all these crazy punks in tracksuits and really bad teeth and weird hair. What is going on here? So that was a bit of a strange ending, but it did leave it open for a sequel. Going back to what you said about 28 months later, the lad being that, he could have done it 28 years later, the sequel to that. That was what my thinking was. Anyway, I'll tell you what I thought about the film. That's the basic overview of it. I'll tell you what I thought about it after I've given you your chance to slate it, because I've seen you only give it 2 stars on Letterboxd. What the fuck's going on, Dave?
So here's my thoughts. So the first 30, 40 minutes of the film, the whole thing about going to the island, going to the mainland, and the hunting, and they're getting in trouble, and they're coming back, and the party they hold for him, I was really enjoying it. I thought the party thing and that whole island it was giving me like Wicker Man feels, like all like this culty stuff going on, and wearing these masks. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. Going onto the island, and they're all using bows and arrows. They had this very interesting editing thing where they would get on cutting in footage of archers.
They have had clips from the film Henry V with Laurence Olivier, and there was like black and white footage like World War One and stuff with the young boys going off to war and all that. And I thought it was a very interesting technique they were using. Yeah, and were telling this whole story. They obviously get in trouble, and the kind of chase sequence was great with the CD Alpha and the hiding out in the attic. Like, it was all very interesting. I was like, and then we get to really it starts to fall apart for me. Just the moment he takes his mum onto the mainland, and it starts to me slowly unravel and get sillier and sillier and sillier. To by the end, and we'll get to that in a minute, I was like, what the fuck have they done here? By the time we get to Ralph Fiennes, and I love Ralph Fiennes, right? One of my favourite actors. Oh yeah. I felt it was just silly, and by the time the son is climbing the skull statue piece to put the skull on the top, and all this sunlight is coming down, I was like, what's this, like Percy Jackson, some kind of child's fantasy film? This is just ridiculous at this point. And I was just like, I've had enough. Because I really enjoyed the opening 30-40 minutes. I was like, this is setting a really nice tone of something I'm really interested to be. And where I was expecting this film to go and be dark and violent and not nice, and to me, I thought you got to go in a direction here where everyone, I thought like the father's going to come up to try and find them, maybe with a gang of some of the other boys, and they're getting into a terrible situation, and because of the boys' actions, they're all going to die, and it's all going to end it terribly. And there's some really iffy like CGI stuff in there as well for me that was just like, looks a bit naff. I didn't notice much of that, to be honest. Maybe some of the stuff where they were killing the zombies, the arrows going through were a bit CGI-ish. But even
the stuff when when they were going back to the island and the sky all opens up into
like a sort of aurora,
and it just looked shit. I was like, really? So I don't know. I just think I've seen better stuff in recent years around kind of zombies, infected, whatever.
Like The Last of Us, you're gonna say. Like
The Last of Us, and I said Train to Busan. I thought had much better emotional connections, especially near the end of that film. and the crazy kind of actual zombies that were going on, that like I watched it. I think one of the things I was saying is that maybe this is too late. I think maybe if they'd done this film 10 years ago, other stuff wouldn't have come out yet, and you'd have gone, oh, it's interesting, new, but it didn't feel new to me anymore. I was like, no, this is just, we've got other stuff now, and this is...
what about from the technical standard? Because he did actually film it all on a load of iPhones. You wouldn't have known.
You wouldn't have known it was an iPhone, but I didn't think either there was anything to shout about in terms of cinematography. I was just like, it's okay, but I wasn't blown away by it, I wouldn't say. It was just competent.
Fair enough. That's that. We can't say anything else without repeating ourselves. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a good couple of hours. Didn't feel like a couple of hours went by. Enjoyed it. So there we go. Let us know your thoughts. Have you seen 28 Years Later? You know, where do you land? Are you more like Dave here, who was just like this, just did not hit the mark? Or was it a bit more like myself, where you thought, yeah, it was a bloody good effort? Please let us know. Well, there we go. That's it for this week. Thanks very much for tuning in and joining us for podcast number 70. If you're listening to us for the first time, please come back again next time, or go and check the other 69 episodes we've got waiting for you on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, share it with your friends, do all that stuff. That's the best way to support us on this channel. Of course, if you're feeling thrifty, there is other ways to support us in terms of you can buy us a coffee. Dave, you're a coffee fan?
I am. A cappuccino.
Cappuccino for Dave, please. I'll take a flat white Americano, if that's all right. But if buying me a coffee's not your thing, then maybe you want to join us on Patreon. You can join us over there as well to support us, help us keep this More Movies endeavour going, because obviously there is a few costs involved, so every little helps. Thank you very much to all the people that do support us on a regular basis, very much so to Michelle. Thank you very much, Michelle. And, of course, Shane. We miss you, Shane. What else, Dave? What can we tell them about?
If you want to check out this podcast in audio-only format, we're on all the major podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. There's a link down in the description below for all that. And we've also got a Discord channel, so you can join us on the Discord server, as well as, of course, we're across social media, mainly Blue Sky these days, and we're on Instagram as well. So yeah, the big 2 More Movies for you. Again, links in the description below. And don't forget about our website, moremovies.co.uk. But yes, stay tuned. Please subscribe to the channel. Give us a like. Drop us a comment. Take care of yourselves till next time. And as always, don't forget to keep watching more movies. Well, that's it for this video. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you thought. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe right here on YouTube. To check out more of our articles and reviews, check out our website, moremovies.co.uk. And why not join us on social media? That's at More Movies for you, across the board. You know the score. And if you'd like to support us, consider buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, or you can become a More Movies patron over on patreon.com. All the links are in the description below. And to check out more of our filmtastic videos, click one of the buttons on screen now.